Welcome to this lecture where we're going to talk about categories and tags. So we're going to cover what the difference between categories and tags are in a WordPress sense and when and how you should be using them. Aren't tags and categories the same thing? You hear that a lot from people who aren't particularly au fait with WordPress, and it does lend itself to a little bit of confusion. So let me start by giving you a simple analogy. Categories are like chapters in a book, and tags are like the book's index. Both exist to help structure the content so that it makes it easier for the reader to navigate their way and find things when and how they want them. In WordPress vernacular, they're considered taxonomies. Categories themselves are important because every post must belong to a category before you're allowed to publish it. And that's important because you really need to plan your categories in advance. You need to think about what you want to have structurally in your site in terms of putting your posts in category buckets. Don't put categories together that are really only there for single posts. So that's really what you can, if you've got kind of an outlier post, then really you want to tag that with the category you were thinking of and then put it in a normal category. And you really ought not to have too many categories. Tags themselves, posts don't need to have tags, but it's always good to have a couple. Descriptive tags are the ones that are best because they can actually stand on their own. People know what those tags are about. And tags give you the ability to be a little bit more creative with your descriptions. So when do you want to use them? Well, thinking about them both contextually, they create an internal linking structure within your site. And that's important from an SEO perspective because categories are a little bit more keyword focused than tags. So when you have a particular structure with 5-6 categories on your site, those categories can be very keyword rich, and then by having the linking of the category to the post, you kind of get some internal anchor text linking in there with the taxonomy of the site. Tags themselves, they're, as we said, a little bit more descriptive, and they can be a little bit broader conceptually. You don't want to create duplicate tags and categories, so you don't want to have tags with the same name as a category. They're separate things. It's also a good idea for your posts to really only belong to a single category, because if you put posts in multiple places, then what can actually end up happening is Google can navigate your site through the categories and end up at the same page multiple times. So it kind of starts to look a little bit like duplicate content. You don't want to have that. So make sure your posts belong to a single category. And again, like all these structural items, it's really important to set it up properly at the beginning. Now, that's not to say you have to have all of your tags and all of your categories from day one, but you should really give some thought at least to a set number of categories that your site's going to be about. Or if you're restructuring your site, stand back and think, well, how can I set these posts into category buckets, and what could be some tags that I could use that would be applicable across a number of different posts. So in summary, categories and tags are important for the structure of your site. They do have some SEO value because of the internal linking structure that they create, and you should use them judiciously. You don't want to have, a post with 15 different tags and in 6 different categories. You want to have a post in a single category with 3 or 4 tags that describe a little bit of the flavor of the post that's not described in your category.